Well, welcome everybody to One Nation, a Sports Locker Magazine Extra. I'm your host, Kirk DeMars, and I'm going to go ahead and bring in my co-host, Jay Gill, from the, I guess you would say, rocky state of Colorado. Jay, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, Dad? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. You are wearing a sweatshirt, and I am wearing a t-shirt. So it must be cold out there.
It gets cold when the sun goes down. I woke up and it was a beautiful 5 degrees this morning. But as soon as the sun came out, it got up to 45 today, almost 50. And then the sun goes back down and we are back in the teens. It's cold.
All right. Hey, we got Patty McFeeters is watching with us tonight. Hi, Patty. How are you doing? Hey, we got a good program. We got Coach Ted LePage of the state champion Blair Oaks Falcons tonight. And this is like the prelude to the national championship game that's being played tonight. So what better way to kick that off than to have this program and have Coach on with us, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm super excited about the game tonight. I'm even more excited to sit down and talk with Coach Ted LePage. I actually had the honor of I was at JC. I graduated in 2008, so I actually had the honor of knowing the coach for a couple years there, and he was just a fantastic guy. So super excited to have him on the show.
I wish I would have known that. I would have asked him some things about you, so I should have known that. All right, Jay, why don't you go ahead and kick it off with your intro of Coach LePage, okay?
Absolutely. So if you're from the mid-Missouri area, then I know you know the name Ted LePage. He's been coaching here for over 20 years as head coach. You know, he spent his first several seasons at Blair Oaks. He helped establish the Blair Oaks football team, and he established that winning culture and excellence. He led them to a state championship in 2004. So even when he left, they had to maintain that high expectation because he set the bar. When he did leave, and he went to the Jefferson City Jays, as I talked about, and he was there for 12 seasons. He brought with him that winning attitude and that high expectations. He led the Jays to 3 district championships and 2 state final appearances. I will say those appearances were when I was in school, so rock on, class of 2008. He only had 1 losing season his entire time with the Jays. So I think that's amazing to keep such a high level for a dozen years. In December of 2017, that's when Coach LePage decided he was going to take a break from football. Well, that was a short-lived break because his old alma mater, Blair Oaks head coach Terry Walker, ended up going to the Jays, and that left a very vacant seat. And you can call it coincidence, you can call it fate, or I'll call it destiny. He was going back to where it all began as a head coach, back to Blair Oaks. And in his 3 seasons that he's been back, he's led the Falcons to 2. And you heard me right, folks, 2 state champions. So it's an honor to sit here and interview him today. We've had the pleasure to interview several that have played for him, especially over the last few seasons. And it's very cool to hear the stories, especially on a championship year. You hear about all the adversity they faced and the challenges that they faced. And so to hear their stories and to hear them talk about their coach, it's really us to sit down and actually talk to the coach tonight. So we're super excited. I mean, without further blabbering on for me, I say we bring on Blair Oaks Falcons head coach Ted LePage. Bring him on.
All right. Hey, Coach, how are you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for having me tonight.
Yeah, we're glad to have you on here. And I guess you could probably tell a little bit that Jay was excited, and he thinks that those state semifinal appearances had everything to do with him being at school at that time. So I don't know what to tell you.
It had to be.
Well,
had to be.
It may have. We had some pretty good players there. Great players overcome bad coaching every day. So we had really good players to overcome the coaching that I provide for them. But there were some really tough times at Jeff City because of just the amount of different teams we had to play. We weren't in a conference. So year in and year out when I was there, it was the best of the best every week. And it was incredible. The amount of travel we made, the amount of NFL players I see still playing that we coached against. There were some just extreme great football games when I was there. So some good memories.
Well, we appreciate you joining us tonight. And again, you're a class act, and everybody, like Jay was saying, everybody speaks highly of you. And I've had the opportunity to interview you for the Sports Locker magazine. Did that a few years ago, and then we featured you as coach of the issue last year. Um, Again, we just appreciate everything you do for the community, and especially these young men that you are helping molding into good leaders. So we just want to say thank you for everything that you're doing, and appreciate all of that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Jay, why don't you go ahead and kick off with your first question, sir?
Yes, sir. Coach, so you're in your second tenure now at Blair Oaks. What's different this time around?
Facilities. When I first went out there, it's a really cool story. When I first went there, they didn't have a weight room. They didn't have their practice field was just an old dirt field. And Dale Verslois, both his sons were playing for me. We actually disced up field, replanted it, went and bought some weight equipment, and tried to set everything as far as the bar to get to getting kids excited about playing a game. Then we had to play all of our home games at Lincoln University, so we did not have any on-campus games when I was there. In 2004, somebody had told me we were the first high school football team to win a state title without a home field. And in 2004, we played a home game at Lincoln. We played a home game at Jefferson City High School. We played a home game at Eldon, and we played a home game at Centralia. So it was a travel by necessary that whole year, and we having a great successful season. This time around, came back, everything's in one location. Dr. Jim Jones has set such a precedence to make everything out there first class. Bricks and mortars don't win games, but boy, it sure helps to alleviate some of the issues with practice. We're right there. We don't have to worry about rain soaking us out or anything of that nature. And then just the home field advantage we get for everybody having to come into Wardsville proper in order to play their football games. That's great that we don't have to get on a bus to go to our home games. So I would say that's the biggest difference. Players, coaches, administration, pretty much the community's the same as far as just their support and their wanting to be out there every night. And it's just a lot of fun because you run around the community and everybody's excited, and nobody apologizes for Blair Oaks being a football school. We're great at basketball, we're great at wrestling, we're great at baseball, we're great at track, but nobody apologizes for us being great. And that's one of the things I think also has changed is there's no worries, be great, but let's win at everything. And Dr. Jones illustrates that every day, that we're going to have 31 ACT guys playing football, and we did this year. We had several of them playing. They're really smart guys. Want to win in the classroom, and they want to win on the athletic field.
That's great. That's absolutely great. Jay was talking about the 3 state championships. Tell us a little bit about each one of them and how each one was special.
2004 was unique. First year I started at Blair Oaks, Patty McFeeder's son, Blake, was our quarterback, and just did a tremendous job of accepting this new guy that walked in. And I'd been out of football for actually 2 years. I'd quit, and I was just private sector. I wanted to be a dad. One of the things that my mom and dad were very instrumental in raising me and being part of my life, and I did not want to miss that, and I felt I was when I was an assistant at Jefferson City. At this time, commitment was just too much for what it was happening. So when I came in, I got that program started, and Blake was really instrumental on that. Jake Spencer was another guy. You just go down the line. There were several guys on that team that I can point to and say, hey, they wanted to set something, and we went and won the first playoff game in school history. And then the next year we went to quarterfinals. The second year we went 6, but still went state quarterfinals. The third year we went to state quarterfinals. We're 10-2, lost both times to Centralia, who was a tremendous, probably the best Class 2 team I've ever seen. I've heard a lot of people say 2018, but I don't know. Centralia was loaded that year. The only 2 games we lost. So a guy by the name of Matt Verslois was on our 2004 team, and he'd started as a freshman. So he'd been there through the progression. And we were in the semifinals at Jefferson City High School, and we were up 21-0, and the team 20-0. The team came back and had a 21-20 lead. And Matt had twisted his ankle real bad, and he has a 4,000 career yard rusher. And he came up to me and goes, "Coach, I can't go." And I'm like, "Oh, man, this state semifinals." He goes, "My little brother, Derek, give him the ball. He'll win it for us. Give him the ball." And I thought, wow, that's special. When a guy said, and I said, Matt, you're all right. Let's get you out there. He goes, Coach, I want to win. And I'm not helping us win. Put him in. And he did. Derek played his tail off, and we ended up beating a really good Crothersville team. Went to state finals, and we were up in the Dome. And it's a miserable place behind the scenes. Out on the field is awesome, but the backside of it is just miserable being in there. And they put us in some a classroom. And I just remember I'm strutting around there just going, and coach was like, get out of here, man. You're making everybody nervous. So I went out in the hall, and there was these doors, and I get a little fired up every now and then. I kicked those doors, and the door went flying open, and there was all these people standing there waiting to get in the Dome because we played at noon. So they didn't open the doors till 11, and this is about 10:50, and it was all Blair Oaks fans, and it was rain. And that door flew open, and they all looked at me, and I looked at them, and it just went ballistic. And they started beating on the windows. And the door swung shut, and I'm like, oh, my God. So I went and got the seniors, and I brought them up on the stairwell. And I said, these doors right here, there's something special on the other side. You've created this. Just remember, you've changed people's lives. This is something, and I want you to walk out here. And I kicked those doors open. Those seniors walked out there, and I get cold chills thinking about it. It went absolutely berserk, and I'm like, I don't care who we're playing today, we're going to win because they're so fired up. And then we went out and had a really tight game with the Eric Thomas coach Cameron team. Ended up winning by 1, and a really special game because of just the transformation from when I started. That Blair Oaks was a basketball and a baseball school, and I'm not ashamed to say that they still are. But we introduced football, and they took football and said, hey, we're going to run with this. And the second state title was really nice and really special because when I first took the job at Blair Oaks the second time, I met with the seniors. And when I sat down, they were just like looking at me. And I had our staff there, and I introduced our staff, and I said, we want to know the roadmap of where you're wanting to go. And so I started asking questions and stuff on a whiteboard. And one of the players finally said, Coach, why are you asking us all these questions? And I said, well, these are going to be your goals and expectations, not mine. And I said, well, you're going to set where to car. We're not making the road. You're making the roadmap to get there. And I think that really set a trust with having a new coach coming in. And just I've had parents come to me and say that I was actually listening to their point of view, but the players play the game. Coaches are just standing on the sidelines watching just like a spectator. So I wanted to know where they wanted to go. They set the parameters, and I'll never forget we were getting ready to play Lutheran North, and there was no way I thought we could beat that team after watching them on film. But I was like, okay. I told the team, I was reading with them. I said, I don't know if we can beat these guys, but we can if we do this, this, and this. And I wrote the 3 things on the board, and I said, it's got to be this. And that was on the Sunday, and we played them the next Saturday. And I remember Mom calling me on Friday and said, we're going to win because whatever you told them on Sunday, our players believe it 100%. And I'm like, well, I'm glad they do because, man, these cats are good. And they're just the way they played. And when Braden Pritchett intercepted a pass and returned it down the sidelines, it was past me. And I turned around, I looked, I knew we were going to score, and that was going to put us up 48-20 at that time. And it was like, okay, they can't come back. I turned around and looked at the crowd. It was, we're back. That you can just see everybody, the anticipation of being there for so many years in a row, that we're going back to the Dome. And I got several phone calls after the game, and everybody's like, don't get arrogant. Don't get arrogant. Don't let those kids be satisfied. And I was like, oh, what are you talking about? We're going to state finals. They're like, we beat Lutheran North. They're supposed to be the best. And I remember the discussion I had with them on Sunday, because we met on Sunday. And I went up and I drew on the board Lathrop 14-0, Blair Oak 14-0. And I said, we just beat Lutheran North, and everybody thinks you've won the Super Bowl. I said, Lathrop just beat the 7-time defending state champs and Lamar. I said, maybe they better worry about us. And I said, this isn't our only game. We're going to this next one. And I remember at halftime talking to our coaches, we're up 40-0. I go, what do we do? I'm not one of those that wants to show up the other team. And I remember John Butler, our defense coordinator, goes, this is a state finals, Ted. You got to let our guys play. And I'm like, okay, all right. And our kids just executed so well. This year, I'll always remember the simple fact that we went out in late February and left school, and I met with the seniors, and they said, we get back together, we're going to do this. And I said, well, the only way we can do it is to stay in touch every day. And every senior except for one, and every junior except for one, somehow during the day communicated with me what they were doing, how they were communicating. And we had a big group that we communicated with. And so when we came back in June, I knew we were special because it had just been so interlocked throughout such a terrible time. And even when we lost to St. Genevieve Valley, it was like something, this ain't the way it's going to end. This is just a bump in the road. And our players never had anything this year that was not fun for them. We had practice and it would stink and it would be ugly and it'd be nasty and it'd be hot. They still had fun and they made it fun for the coaches.
Very good.
Fun for them. But again, I'm not one to make people feel comfortable, because I think my dad, when you feel comfortable, you're falling behind. You better make yourself uncomfortable and learn how to live life like that.
That's great. That's great advice, because I'm going to use that with my son-in-law. So I'm going to use that. Hey, before we get into the next question, I'm going to go ahead and share our first sponsor. It's Diesel Power Plus, and we'll play a quick video there, and we'll be right back.
Delton Rissler here with Diesel Power Plus and Edge Graphics in California, Missouri. We're positioned in the Crossroads Shopping Plaza. We're located on the Highway 50 and 87 on the Crossroads. And I just wanted to announce we have a truck meet or truck show coming up April 17th. Me and my brother are both in the same building. He has a chrome shop. We're going to have it's going to be a big event, and for those that want to get out and do something April 17th, I encourage you to come down. It's going to be a family. We're going to have things for the children to do. We're going to have bounce houses. There will be food on the premises. It's going to be an all-day event. It's Delton Rissler with Diesel Power Plus and Edge Graphics. Come see us April 17th at the Crossroads Shopping Plaza.
They've got a really cool place out there, and we appreciate Delton and Ashley Rissler and being a sponsor of this program. And Greg Kimna just came on here, and he said, good times, good for kids and community. So thank you, Greg, for that comment. And it's like family out there. I know a lot of places say that, but I really think that you experience that as a coach and being a part of the administration, don't you?
I agree. Jim Jones, again, I got to lead to him because he sets the example. All four of his daughters go through there. When that was after the first time, I would go out there at 6:15 every morning, and all three of my kids were little at that point in time, but I would take them with me. There was never a time that I didn't feel like my kids weren't part of that, and that's the way we've tried to really lead that. We have coaches that have young kids, and I always want them around. A lot of coaches are like, hey, they're a distraction. Not to me. If you want to bring your kids, bring your kids. You know what? That's what we're about. We're about kids. So you have to have your kids around, then why be part of it? But, there's so many good people that it doesn't fall just to one person. It falls to a bunch of people out there.
Right. Absolutely. Hey, Jay, why don't you go ahead with your next question?
Yeah. Kind of going off script a little bit here, but I think it's so unique. You were talking about the championship that you guys had this year, and I also saw someone comment and say they're loving the stories, and I'll tell you what, so am I. I'm getting hyped up right now just listening to them all. I'm getting a lot of chills too. But this year, year's just been crazy with the pandemic and everything going on. A lot of people don't know if sports was even going to happen. I kind of want to hear about navigating through this time, and who did you have to lean on for advice? What kind of steps did you guys have to take? And obviously, I love that you guys stayed in touch with each other all summer, and I think it's really cool.
Well, it really started back in June when we knew we were going to get back. Jim Jones, Corey Felton, and I sat down and we had a meeting, and Jim basically said, we all have to talk same language. I don't care what language we end up out of this meeting, but we all have to same thing. All three of us, there's going to be questions every day. And we left that meeting. We had a very common and cool theme that Jim kind of alliterated to, and it said, we're going to win today, but we're going to get safely to tomorrow. And that was the theme that we went with, that, we're going to win today while we're here, but our objective is to make it to tomorrow safely. And that's been his objective all year. And they've continued to have class, and hats off to them. But navigating through it, taking temperatures, it was a chore. I love football. I love everything about it, being in it every day. But I will say this is one year that I was ready for the season to be over, not from the football standpoint, but from the temperature and all the the stuff that goes along with the documentation of that our players never complain. They never back down. They brought their water every day. We went out on the practice field. They didn't use the locker room for the first 2 months we were together, but they were just happy to be there, and so was I. So was our kid, our coaches. So was the community. Community was coming out. I know there was one point during the season that I'd heard an administrator make a comment that, well, we will shut down when others shut down. And I was on the way to the practice field, and that day there just happened to be a camera came out, and I don't remember even who it was. And they made a statement to me, how do you feel? And I said, well, I don't know. I've heard other people say, we're going to do what other people do. I said, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do at Blair Oaks. We're going to be on this field until somebody drags us off. When they come drag us off, we'll leave this field. And I said, we're going to give everything we got, because these guys want a senior year. They want a junior year. They want a sophomore year. And we're going to fight, and we're going to fight for them to be here. And it went viral wherever it went. And I don't know, but I remember getting stuff from Pennsylvania and California saying, how can you say that stuff? That you're miserable. You're the reason this stuff goes on. And I'm sitting there thinking, no, I'm just trying to fight for my players. I'm trying to say that if they tell us to get off, we're going to get off, but you're going to have to come get us off. We're not going to walk off this thing. We're not going to follow anybody else. When I heard the person say that, I was like, how can you lead people? What are you talking about? You're giving a doomsday kind of scenario. And heck, we're here to build up. We're not here to follow or be anything of that nature. So that was kind of our motto all season, is we're going to be here until they come take us off this field. And our players every day came out and never complained about it. And I would have. I was a senior in high school. Some of the liberties that they had to give up in order to get through this season were just phenomenal. And I think back to, we got on that bus to go to St. Genevieve Valley, and they wouldn't come anywhere. They wouldn't meet us anywhere. We had to go to them. And Jim Jones finally said, get on the bus and go beat them. And I'm like, all right, we're going. And we had practice for them. They were going 3.5 hours. And we're on a school bus, and we found out 12 hours before we're playing them, and we had to wear masks all the way there. Not one complaint. We're getting to play on Friday night. That's all we thought about. We're getting to play on Friday night. Some people aren't. Let's go play.
That's great. And it's obvious too, because we've had several comments over here. Jim Nill just said, love living above the complex and getting to see all the hard work the coaches and boys put in every week to be ready for Friday night. And then Derek Leffert said, best decision I ever made for my children was moving to the Blair Oaks School District, championship caliber in athletics and academics. The Blair Oaks community is second to none. Congrats, Coach LePage. Fantastic season. So the hard work and the dedication and the leadership pays off. That's for sure. That's you see that from those people that see that hard work and leadership every day. So good job. Very good.
Well, thanks.
Yeah. We're going to go ahead and do our other sponsor here real quick, because as usual, this program is flying by. So we'll do that. We'll get back and we'll wrap things up with a couple more questions. This is CNS Business Service.
Hi, I'm Stephanie with CNS Business Services. At CNS, it's our job to find the right job for you. We take that job seriously and want to make your job search easy and successful. CNS represents a wide variety of employers, large and small, in a variety of industries in Central Missouri, and we do our best to place applicants in jobs that match their skills and needs. So check out the CNS website for a list of current job opportunities and apply online anytime, or contact our office at 1731 South Ridge Drive in Jefferson City. And let CNS do what we do best for over 40 years. Find the job that's right for you.
They do a great job of helping find people work here in mid-Missouri, and I appreciate everything that they do for our community as well. Paula Binney and Stephanie Lehman and their team, they do a great job over there. So again, we appreciate them. Coach, you said one thing a little earlier, and you were talking about some of the younger kids. And I just want to ask you, there's a lot of young boys out there right now that are looking up to the program, and they're dreaming of being a Falcon football player someday. What kind of things would you encourage them to be working on? And I'm talking probably specifically like middle school. How can they prepare to be best fit for being a Falcon?
Well, it's funny because I was asked last week, and some young ladies asked me something about college, and I said, the best lesson I ever learned I was a graduate assistant football coach at University of Missouri, and I worked for a guy by the name of Andy Reid. And Andy was the O-line coach. And I asked them, I said, do you know what he majored in? And they were all kind of stuff. I said, he was an English major. And I had to make a scouting report one day. And I'll never forget, he's one of the best human beings I've ever met. And he's a funny man, but he really got after me. And I was like, what's the big deal? And he goes, your punctuation incorrect, your grammar's not correct. I want this correct. And I looked at him, I go, it's a scouting report. And he goes, no, it's the little things in life that make a difference. Difference on how you pronunciate that exclamation point, that, you know, and I took that as, and you got to carry that in everything. You know, he said, you look uneducated. He goes, you got 2 majors and math. You can't look uneducated in this world. And I think that's, if I was talking to young people, I actually was a couple weeks ago, I went and spoke to a gymnastics team. It's the little things. When you think it's this big aspiration that Alabama's playing Ohio State tonight, well, they didn't get there tonight. It started 12, 15 years ago with a kid running through ladders and making sure he hit every rung of the ladder when he was running through the ladders. The ladder's the thing you put on the ground. They use on speed and footwork. And there was a guy standing with a bungee cord with a football on it and catching a pass over and over and over and over. There was a guy getting in his stance in front of a mirror. And why we do that is because I tell our players, you got to get in the stance and look at yourself. So those are the things that I think really play into it for me. It's not, hey, we won the state title. It was the little things that started back in February when Nico Canali, first video of doing major weight. And when I say major weight, I can't remember what lift he was doing, but he sent it in a video. And then instead of everybody texting him, putting stuff, then it started being videos because everybody wanted to show each other. That was when the real work and the meat and the potatoes of the season started.
That's great. I mean, you know, when those kids are looking at that, I mean, that's exactly what it takes, is paying attention to the details and how you're going to be able to improve yourself. And with that, we'll go into the last question. And I do this because his mom has done this. She came on and said hello again. So we'll have Jay go off of his mom saying hello and ask the Jay.
Last question, and we have so many good ones here, but we'll just finish with this. I kind of want to hear about, you're trying to develop leaders on and off the field. When it comes to your players, what's your process? What's your technique on doing that?
Well, there's a couple different. One, we start with the goal setting. Our season ran into December 5th. So we took a couple weeks off, and then we bring the seniors and returning starters in. And just like I did that first session I had in 2018, we sat down and I put 4 things on the board. Motto for the season. One is in-season goals, out-of-season goals, and then growth goals. And then we have what is our overall goal, which is pretty much easy: conference, district, state. But we sit down and I get each player's input into what they want their off-season goal to be. And we write it down on a board. And then we go through, and it takes 2 or 3 meetings. It's not a one meeting deal. The kids think it's going to be easy. And then they start the process, and I'll talk to them throughout the week after we've met. And they're like, Coach, I think we should do this. And I'm like, well, you can see their thought process just start going, whoa. And the 3 things I ask them is make sure that our goals are obtainable, doable, and reachable. That's it, because if we can't do that, then we're setting very poor goals. And because the hard work is always the one that is, hey, we're going to set a goal of hard work. Well, how do you measure it? I don't know how to measure hard work. That's something to do. So, as we go, that's one of the processes. The second thing I do is we elect captains each week. And they can be the same guy. I don't care. Like Jake Crosser was our number 1 captain every day, every game this week. But we're going to resonance that leaders can happen throughout the season, and guys come out of nowhere. Jayden Purdy was a guy that before the season, people probably really didn't know Jayden. We felt like he's going to be a really good running back, but he came one of our team captains. They have to be selected a captain 5 games to be an overall team captain, and he was. That wasn't a guy probably before the season a lot of guys would have pointed to. So I think giving them all an opportunity to have a voice throughout the season and having the other players select, that allows that process to happen too. We have we have a bunch of different things, but those would be the 2 simplest I could get to.
That's great. Hey, Coach, we had Chris Weckenberg said, "Thank you, Coach LePage, great leader of young men." And just to help you out here real quick, Alabama just scored a touchdown, point after two. That's why I break him to he's helping us out with the score. So
There we go.
thank you so much for joining us tonight. Again, this time flies by quickly. Hopefully we'll have you on again sometime. If you'll hold on here for just a second, Jay and I are going
Sure.
to close out the program, and then we'll visit with you after. Thank you so much for joining us.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being long-winded.
Absolutely. Jay, man, that was good, wasn't it?
Oh, fantastic. I mean, those stories, that story of the 2004 championship and just hearing the crowd rage and just roar, it gave me chills, and I wasn't even there.
And
But
your hair was
you
standing
can
up.
just
Mine wasn't.
yeah. But you can just anticipate that. I love that he did that because, like he said, they weren't going to go out and lose after that. Like, energy it brought, I mean, that's just going to amp you up, and you're going to go out and fight every inch, every yard. And I thought that was a fantastic story. So, anyways, yeah, I could write. I think I could write about just what he's accomplished in his 20 years here in Mid-Missouri, and he's just an outstanding person. So, thanks, Coach, for being on. That was awesome.
It was great having him on here. And, I just want to encourage the people that are watching tonight, please share this program. And, we appreciate having you on One Nation, having great people like Coach Ted LePage. And we're going to continue to do this. And we're going to let you guys go ahead and go. But I'm going to have Jay close it out as he always does. Again, he has to have the final word. That's just the way we do it. So go ahead, Jay.
Hey, Sports Locker Nation, thanks for tuning in to One Nation and SLM Extra. You guys have a blessed week. God bless.
Thank you guys for joining us. God bless you.